Very important. Before we start, we're going to sit down with our client and we're going to discuss how this treatment fits into her hair goals. The hair's already been shampooed. So before we start, we shampoo with the B3 shampoo and we make sure that we gently cleanse that hair. You'll also notice that I'm going to be using 6 mils for this application. I'm going to be taking a little bit in my hand before I start separating the hair. I'm going to work it through to make sure that I'm not stretching that hair fiber while it's wet. I want to be as careful as I possibly can be to make sure I preserve as much condition as I possibly can. Take special note of the section size. So you'll see me, I'm going to be loading the brush with the split end bonder and then removing the excess. I'm going to take my section and I'm going to be applying from middlings to ends, gentle to medium pressure with the brush, and then massaging it through. Because remember, we haven't conditioned this hair. So we want to make sure that we have a nice soft texture to work with. But bulk of our application is going to be on the mid-lengths to ends and then just kind of working the excess through. You'll notice that when I start combing, it's going to be from roots, from ends towards the roots, slowly and gently without putting unnecessary pressure on that hair. Wet hair is very vulnerable to stretching. So it's important that we don't do that. Just take note of the thickness of my next section. It's important that we bear in mind that this particular treatment is supposed to be a quick treatment, supposed to be like a 10 to 15 minute addition to any service. You'll see, look at the section thickness. So now I'm going to apply to that section again by, again, loading the brush and then removing the excess. So now, again, middlings to ends, gentle to medium pressure, and then just massaging it through to make combability easy. Now we're going to work through from ends towards the roots when we're combing out any knots. And again, we're not putting any pressure on that hair fiber. There's none of that during the actual combing. Again, loading the brush, removing excess, and then we're applying to that mid-length towards the ends, massaging up towards the root area, and then again, gently brushing that hair. No pressure, no pulling, no tugging, no stretching of that hair fiber. That is very, very important because remember, we're doing a treatment and we want that hair to feel amazing afterwards. Is the drying of the treatment. This is more important than people imagine. You'll notice that my nozzle is, firstly, I'm drying this on a medium heat. Notice also that I'm drying both sides of each section so that we get an even dryness. And take note of where my nozzle is. My nozzle is not on that hair surface. And there's no like smoke or anything. Not that there's anything harmful that's coming off this treatment, but you'll notice that there's no smoking because I'm not burning up product during the procedure. That's very important because remember, we're not applying a lot of product. So you don't want to burn up product by having that nozzle right on that hair surface, but it also exhausts the hair. The hair is, if it's over dried, we're doing more damage than good. And then suddenly our treatment is no longer a treatment. We want to be careful when it comes to how much heat and the way that we apply heat to hair, especially if it's essential to the outcome. We want to make sure we're not burning that hair at all. A last step in this process is the curing of the treatment onto the hair surface. And this is so important because, again, we're using a low heat, so 190 degrees Celsius, to cure the treatment onto the hair surface. And you'll notice it's one pass straight through from roots to ends, then a second pass on the ends, a third pass onto the ends. So let's look at that again. So from the roots to the ends for our first pass, and then 2, 3 just on the ends. It is so important. You see that I push that hair away to the left so that I don't pick up those pieces that I've already done again. Look at the thickness of the section. Remember what I said earlier, this is a treatment that should be very quick. It should be a 10 to 15 minute addition to any service. And so look at that thickness there. So now I'm going to take the next section. Straight from the root to the ends, the first pass, second and third pass is just on those ends. And the hair should feel in incredible condition when you're done. Just bear in mind that you want to make sure that you book your client for their second and third treatment 4 weeks apart. Pre-book those clients. Life gets in the way. Clients forget. When you're talking to your client about this, please make sure that they understand that the best result is going to be after the second and third treatment, because we've got this like compound effect of the treatment, especially because it doesn't just treat the hair and doesn't just thicken up those ends. It's also going to be preventing damage from happening. Kind of like a inoculation against your client's lifestyle. And that is one of the reasons that condition actually improves. So just look at what I'm doing here. You'll notice that when I'm done with that knot, I'm straight through, and then 2 and 3 just on those ends. And a nice medium pace, because we don't want to burn the hair. It's really important that we understand that whenever we're using heat to heal hair, we can't burn the hair, because then we're actually being counterproductive. We're not actually achieving the condition we want to achieve. That's why it's so important that we don't pick up pieces we've previously ironed. So just one last look here is roots, 2 ends, and then 2 and 3. This is what Jess's hair looked like after the second treatment. But if you look at what it looked like before, you'll see how thin those ends were. So there's a significant increase in density.